Hi, Joel. Thank you for running for office and for seeking the Riveters Collective endorsement. We're conducting this interview tonight on the traditional territory of the Nooksack tribe and Lummi Nation. This interview is being recorded to be used for our endorsement decisions and also may be shared publicly. Your screen name will be on the recording. It looks good. We have 5 questions for you tonight, approximately 3 to 4 minutes for you to answer each of them. And we plan at the end, if we have time, for you to ask questions of us. To begin, how would you prefer to be addressed tonight?
Just by my name, Joel, is fine.
Perfect. Thank you. We're just going to quickly go around. Oh, were you trying to talk? Sorry. We're going to quickly go around and just introduce the committee members that are here, starting with Candace.
Hi, Joel. I'm Candace. I am really happy to be here, and I am really excited to see what you have to say. And thank you for running.
I'll go next. My name is Beth. Nice to have you here, Joel. Suzanne, you're next.
Thanks, Beth. Hi, Joel. Nice to see you. Thanks for, I think you get some sort of prize for the quickest ability to jump on a Zoom call. So appreciate you being willing and able.
Hi, Joel. My name is Lichi Liang. Lichi is my first name, and thank you for running for office and joining us.
All right, so we are going to go ahead and start with questioning from Suzanne. Thanks, Joel.
Great. So question number 1, Joel, what experience as an administrator, executive, or elected official has prepared you to be the best candidate for this position?
Thank you very much for that question. And I think that one of the things that comes up a lot in our community is the concern for having a responsive government. And my experience as a director, my exact job title was Area Organizing Director with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, has prepared me to take on this management role. In the role of mayor, the thing that I will do that will drastically change the landscape of having a responsive government to the needs of the community will be, I will transform the relationship with the city and its employees. And this will be done through the concept and process of interest-based bargaining. What we're going to do is align all of the union contracts of all of the 12 different unions to expire around the same time. And we're going to have unified bargaining. And so instead of each group, fighting for their piece of the pie, we're all gonna come together around this interest-based bargaining model. We're going to go through a training process and learn how to come together around our common interests, the interests of living in a safe, healthy community and one that has a responsive government. And the employees are going to be able to share the things that they need to make that happen. Management of the city is going to be able to share the things that they need to make that happen. And in unified bargaining, we're actually going to be able to look at the whole pie together and cooperatively figure out how do we slice that pie up so that we meet everyone's needs as a community. Through that transformation of the relationship between the city and its employees, this will have a transformational impact on the quality of life, the morale of city employees of Bellingham, because they will feel heard and really valued.
Thank you. Question number 2, unmet demand for mental health and substance use disorder services is a major contributor to challenges facing the city. As mayor, What will you do to reduce the unmet need for mental health and substance use disorder services?
Thank you for that question. And this is so important. And the work that the mental and behavioral health professionals are doing is so important. I know in one of the conversations that I had with a counselor in the community, they said we need 12 more of me to as a counselor to meet the need in the community. Or another person who said it takes a month and a half to 2 months to get a mental health assessment at their agency. And so we are in a crisis, and part of that is the way that we're treating our mental and behavioral health professionals. We need to raise the standards since these professionals that we desperately need are among the lowest paid of all of the health professionals, right? And so part of it is definitely going to be raising those standards so that we can attract and retain the talent that's necessary to meet the need in the community. Part of that is going to be done through expedited grant funding to the existing mental and behavioral health and recovery service providers in the community that are stretched far beyond their capacity so that we can help them through their commitment to raising those standards to meet those funding gaps. But then part of it through the proclamation of the local um, health emergency related to homelessness, we will be able to invest in the infrastructure that's lacking. And so, I think that a lot of us are really frustrated that mental and behavioral health services are tied in with the funding of the jail. And it's like it's almost being held hostage. And we can't solely rely on the county. We have to have a sense as a community, the city of Bellingham, to have self-determination in addressing the mental and behavioral health needs of the community. And that means the acquisition of properties where we can utilize these services right away. Because even if the jail and all of this mental and behavioral health package is approved, it's not going to be ready for 3 years. So what do we do in the meantime? How many people need to die in the meantime when we're waiting for these desperately needed services? So on day one, through that proclamation, we will have the ability and the lawful authority to be able to expedite the siting of those locations, be able to even seek county, state, and federal assistance in terms of any kind of staffing or personnel or financial resources to make these things happen. Because the big picture is that we have the double-edged sword of being known for having the best resources, the best community services, and the most robust in the region, if not the country. And so as everyone else has gotten to capacity, we're seeing our reputation is getting beyond ourselves, right? And so that's how come we're seeing such a huge influx in this crisis in our community. And so it's going to take, more than just the resources that we have. It's going to take collaboration with county, state, and federal agencies as well.
Thank you. Question number 3. Since the historic protests of 2020, there have been important conversations about criminal justice, including police accountability, race, sentencing, bail, and incarceration. As Bellingham's mayor, how will you advance equity in our justice system and reduce incarceration? You're on mute. I'm sorry, Joel.
That's okay. Thank you. Um, Sorry about that. It's my first time on Zoom. No. um, this is a really big deal. I think that one of the things that is going to appeal to a lot of the families in our community about this campaign is that we're talking about getting to the root causes of the issues, and we're talking about things that are basic in all of our human nature, which is basic accountability. And right now, our community is lacking it. And so, I I know that, in 2020, there were big protests and conversations. And I also know, as a Bellingham native and someone who started the conversation at Whatcom Community College about diversity and inclusion, and knowing that my mentors, Malcolm Oliver, who was at the time in early 2000 doing diversity training with the city of Bellingham Police Department, and has had a long-standing relationship with the police department. um, I know that, as a person of color, that a lot of the issues that we're hearing being brought up are real. And our community is so diverse, and we have so many people from so many places that have come to make Bellingham home. And a lot of people, are bringing their experiences to Bellingham with them and the traumas that they've experienced. And so, I think part of it is continuing the stellar, um, pathway that we're on with the Bellingham Police Department in terms of being at the forefront of, training and development. And I think that means, significant investments in mental and behavioral health training for our police force at this point, because, as a person of color, I'm proud to say that I support the Bellingham Police Department. I think that they are, one of the finest police, forces in the nation. I've, never had my rights violated by the Bellingham Police, whereas, working throughout 23 states and the department, excuse me, and, DC, I have had my rights violated by it. So I really understand, these issues. I think that when I talk about accountability and healthy accountability, what I mean is that, you know, that even just interrupting behavior helps teach people that it's not okay. When I see the guy in front of the bagelry smoking fentanyl after having raised his $5 to go around the corner and get his stuff in the alley, he comes back around to the street. And I've been able to, just being fed up, tell him, hey man, this is not the appropriate place for that. And you know what? He actually responded well to that. There's another person that you see dancing around and tearing up books and littering, and I'm just so fed up. And I went and when I was out talking to members of the community, and I talked to her, I said, "Hey, you got to pick this stuff up. This is not okay. Here's a plastic bag." And you know what? It took her a minute, but she actually started picking up her trash, because accountability is okay and it's healthy. And so, through the proclamation of a local public health emergency, not only will we be able to invest in that mental and behavioral health infrastructure, but we will also be able to invest in um, a police department holding facility. Um, there are currently significant liabilities to the city, in terms of, uh, transferring custody to the Whatcom County Sheriff's Department at the Whatcom County Jail. And we are a self-insured, city. And so, um, before we consider just sending everybody over to the jail, let's interrupt behavior. Let's have 48 hours with folks to be able to connect them with services, and see if we can get them on a different path before we decide, under our discretion, whether or not to charge them with a crime and criminalize their behavior. Let's see if we can wrap our loving arms around them as a community, like we always have, and like help people in this healing process.
Thank you, Joel. Question number 4. Do you support a local minimum wage that is higher than the state minimum wage? If so, how much higher?
Well, I signed in support of both, initiatives 1 and 2, and particularly the living wage. Through, the reason that I actually got into, um, the social and economic justice movement was because I realized at the age of 19 here in Bellingham that the gap between the rich and the poor was just getting wider, and that Dr. King's work was unfinished. And that's how come I set out to work with labor organizations and community organizations to fight for economic justice, to continue that uh, legacy of work. And so naturally, as somebody who's been fighting on the front lines, pounding the pavement, knocking on doors, talking to, fighting for wage increases and justice for working people, absolutely. I support the current proposal to gradually raise the wage above the state minimum wage. I think, we're a coastal community. Cost of living here is high. And, you know, the fact that like our mayor is making $220,000 a year and most people in Bellingham are struggling to like pay rent. I mean, that it's totally necessary. I'm more on the side of the workers. I'd be in support of something higher. I think realistically, even though on some indexes you might see, oh, $30 is like the appropriate, I could see like $23, $25 being a goal to get to over the course of the next few years.
Thank you. So our last question for you, Joel, is what is your preferred plan for the Post Point wastewater treatment plant and why?
And Joel, just as a reminder, we only have 3 minutes left.
So I'm not willing to take a position on the Post Point plan. Our campaign is really centered around the public safety crisis and public health emergency related to homelessness. And as a civil rights leader and community um, activist, I believe in the democratic process. And so, you know, I want to lead us through this intervention that is much needed in our community. And I'm going to do that through executive action. Everything else, including what we're talking about now with the wastewater, it's gonna it's gonna be a full-on democratic process that includes respecting the voices of people on all sides of the issue. As mayor, I will have the obligation of carrying out whatever is determined by the city council, and ensuring that whatever is legislated is carried out in a fair, dignified way that respects the rights of um, the people of Bellingham, of our obligations to local treaties with tribes and the Lummi Nation, and takes into account significantly the environmental impact of all of those things. So, if that's not too politician-y.
So we have just 1 minute left. Was there anything any questions you had for us? Or I had one question. You're not on the ballot, right? Is that what's
That is correct. And I think that the last thing that's just important to point out, I don't really have any questions because like after reading through the Riveters Collective platform, they're all like we are in complete alignment in terms of the issues and the way that we're looking at things. But the thing I want for people to know that although I am not going to be appearing on the ballot, this is going to be a historic campaign because we are doing the write-in campaign. We are not going to be spending money on a bunch of expensive signs. We're going to be using those recycled cardboard signs. We're going to be doing street art. We're going to be doing sign making parties. And we're going to be having one-on-one conversations with the voters of Bellingham. And it's through that grassroots effort and tapping into the fabric of our community, the relationships, that we're actually going to be successful in August and November.
Okay, thank you so much. And thanks again for running.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joel.
Nice to meet you, Joel.